It's the focus of every Orlando Magic fan. It's the center position. How Wendell Carter has held it down, but still has work to do, and why the Magic are getting a little funky today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 11th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the center position. It is the focus of every Magic fan, the most likely place the Magic are to look to improve in the offseason. How Wendell Carter has held the spot down this year and the areas he still needs to improve. Plus, why the Magic are getting a little funky at the position and Moe Wagner getting back in the group. We're going to get to all that coming up here in just a moment. First, I want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day. Every day you can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies, our everydayers who listen 5 days a week, who listen on the weekends, who make us part of your regular podcast rotation, make us your first listen of the day. We want to thank you for making the Locked On Magic community such a great and growing community. And we want to thank you again for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is sponsored by FanDuel. The Winter Games are on, and there is no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. The Orlando Magic are set at 4 positions. Paolo Banchero is on a long-term contract. He'll start his 5-year extension next year. Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs for the first year of their 5-year extensions. Desmond Bane still has 2 additional years left, I believe, on his contract. By all accounts, a lot of what the Magic did at the trade deadline, or what the Magic didn't do at the trade deadline, was really built on the belief that we have not seen our full team, and we believe in the signs that are out there. We believe in what we've seen, we just haven't seen enough of it. Oh, I'm not saying anything new. I said this back in August. I said this back in July. Now that the Magic have got their roster set, now that the Magic actually do have their full complement of players back, now it feels like all eyes are on the center position. All eyes are on Wendell Carter and whether he is truly the right option at center. He, too, will begin the first year of a 3-year extension next year. An extension that is still quite controversial. Now, opinions on Wendell Carter, certainly from fans, do not go well. There is always a scapegoat. There is always something that needs to be improved. And considering how invested the Magic are at their other positions, the center position is the next spot. And we will talk a lot this summer about whether it is time to move on from Wendell Carter. Now, again, I will say this. I'm a Wendell Carter supporter. I believe Wendell Carter is a really good player. It's a solid player, but even a supporter like myself will freely admit, I'm not sure the Magic can survive without vertical spacing. We talk about spacing a lot. There's 3 dimensions to this game. The Magic do not really have an above-the-rim threat, either on defense or on offense, and I do think as you get deeper into the playoffs, you will need someone who could just make a play at the rim, whether it's a lob, and look, Carter's caught plenty of lobs this year, so it's that he leads the team in dunks, so that's not necessarily the issue, but a player who could jump over people, rebound over people. And look, Carter, for all his flaws, all his strengths, he is a ground-bound center. He is about positioning. He's about being in the right spot at the right time, and he is exceptionally good at it. We can say a lot of things about Wendell Carter this year. And you know, if you've already made an opinion about Wendell Carter, that opinion isn't going to change based on anything he's done this year. He's not a great shot blocker. He's averaging 0.7 blocks per game. He's giving up 57 51% field goal percentage at the rim. That has gone way up since early in the season when he was doing really, really well. That he's not out there swatting shots. If you want to complain about his rebounding, you can certainly complain about his rebounding. He's only averaging about 7 or 8 rebounds per game. He's not a consistent double-double threat. Hasn't scored in double figures since the Toronto game a couple weeks back. And by his own admission, he is coming off some pretty bad offensive games. There are flaws within his game. Doesn't really catch the ball on the move. But at the same time, like I tell this to people too, he's your 5th guy on the offense. If everything's working right, if everyone's healthy, you're not running plays for Wendell Carter. And what the Magic like about him and what teammates like about him is how trustworthy he is on defense. The Magic are a better team defensively with him on the floor. Only Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, and Franz Wagner have better on-court defensive ratings than Wendell Carter Jr. Orlando has a 112 defensive rating with Carter on the floor. They're at like 113 point or 113-1. So like they're a better team with him on the floor. And even then, if you think rebounding is his weakness, he's averaging, according to NBA.com's tracking stats, 2.6 box outs per game, which is 7th best in the league. Orlando as a team has a 71.3% defensive rebound rate, which is nearly half a percentage point better than the team's overall average. And despite what you say about the Magic being a bad rebounding team, they're 4th in the league in defensive rebound rate. They do gobble up a lot of rebounds. Now, Carter will be the first to say that he can be a little inconsistent, that he can be a little up and down, and you can just watch his body language at times and say, Carter doesn't quite have it today. Or, oh, Carter's getting frustrated with the shooting. And there's a lot of room to grow on that end. But at the same time, considering the season he had last year, where he averaged 9.1 points per game, first time he was under 10 points per game, shot 23.4% from 3. This year, averaging 11.7 points per game and 33.7% from 3. Like, yes, there is room for improvement, especially the way the Magic use him as a floor spacer, as a three-point shooter. But he'll go through these ups and downs, and he's still a decent threat as a shooter, and even particularly as a mid-range shooter. As much as you might want to criticize Carter, and again, there is room to criticize Carter, and even as a Carter supporter, I will say this is a big playoffs for him. He has to prove he can play center for an elite team. And that means like he's going to have to do his best and play well against the Karl Anthony Towns, against the Jalen Durans, against the Evan Mobleys and Jared Allens. And those are players that he has at times struggled with. We need to see if he's a primetime performer. And so Wendell Carter, in so many ways, is this microcosm of the team, where he has this question of whether he can perform in the playoffs. And the bottom line is this: if you can't perform in the playoffs, you're not going to be on this team very much longer. That's why Cole Anthony's gone. That's why Gary Harris is gone. That's why the Magic went after Desmond Bane, who has his own spotty playoff record that we'll have to watch and be wary of. Luckily, he won't play the Oklahoma City Thunder anytime soon. Even with all this under consideration, Carter has had a bounce-back season. He has delivered a better year for this team. He is someone that everyone on this team trusts. And while there are a lot of these questions that are fair to ask right now and are fair to say these are things we're going to have to think about in the offseason, they are offseason questions. We haven't collected all the data. I would urge you not to draw final conclusions, but certainly there is evidence on both sides of the scale to say this is the direction the Magic need to go. And again, the playoffs will reveal all. When you get to a playoff series, your weaknesses are exposed. And we're going to find out exactly whether the Magic need this piece of the puzzle or if this is something they can push down the road a little bit. Again, I would argue that the bench is a bigger issue right now than anyone in the starting lineup, because I think generally the starting lineup is playing pretty well. Even the non-Franz starting lineup is doing okay. Not amazingly, but doing okay. Carter largely has delivered this year for the Magic. And again, maybe the expectations are low. Again, he's a fifth starter. He's your fifth scorer. I don't know why you're expecting him to average 15 and 12. Could the rebounding be higher? Sure. But he's also a big reason why Paolo Banchero is averaging a career high in rebounds. Could he be more consistent? Sure. He does get down on himself too much and has to have the kind of mental fortitude to push through. But for the first time in his career, we're not worried about Wendell Carter being hurt. I know he's coming off the ankle soreness on Monday, but he played through it. He's already played 50 games this season. He played 63 last year, a career high, or 68 last year, a career high. He's well on his way to breaking that. I think he's only missed one game all season. Wendell Carter has had the kind of season the Magic could have hoped for. Unfortunately, the Magic needed a little bit more from everyone else. The center position is a place of great focus, but it's also a place of creativity. How the Magic are opting to get funky at the center position. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, life skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what Indeed does, because you can get specific and target exactly what you need. And it saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches and more time finding the right person to fill your job. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part isn't always so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. I'm getting ready to start doing some traveling for the Magic games coming up here in March. I got a couple road trips planned in March. Thank you all for the help with that. You got the playoffs coming up, and when I'm in new cities, the first thing I think about is what are the sporting events in town. Now, obviously, during some of these road trips, I don't have the time to go to the sporting events because I am working the sporting events. But it just so happens I'm planning to be in Minneapolis in March. And one of the reasons I wanted to take this road trip was because the Magic have this nice afternoon game against Timberwolves, and my Northwestern Wildcats play the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the evening at the Barn Williams Arena. So what am I doing? I am scouring the Game Time app. I've got the alert set up. I'm checking ticket prices regularly, waiting for just the right moment to buy my tickets to go see my Wildcats play for the first time in God knows how long. It's been a while since I've seen Northwestern live, and maybe I will regret that because it's not been a great season for Northwestern. But Game Time has all the perks that I'm looking for. All in pricing up front. I can get a digital view of my seat so I know the quality of the seat that I am buying, and so much more. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you're looking to take your Magic fandom, your Locked On fandom to the next level, you got to join the Everydayer Club. Our Everydayer Club gives you access to a team-specific Discord channel, so you can talk with other Locked On Magic fans. We're so small, but we're growing, as well as the bigger Locked On NBA Discord channel, so you can talk that trash when the Magic do surprise everyone and make the Eastern Conference Finals, or simply avoid the play-in. We can all make fun of the Heat at the very least. You can also get access to ad-free audio feed so you can listen to the podcast without those pesky ads. And I am still working on this, but I am trying to deliver this as well. Get you access to my other premium, other subscription content as well. That's all the added bonus of being in our Everydayer Club. Check out the Everydayer Club at lockedonmagic.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. The center, positions for the Orlando Magic have always been a bit fudgy. The idea that the Magic have had is essentially a positionless basketball where everyone does everything, specifically on offense, where they have Paolo Banchero bring the ball up and Jalen Suggs is your quote unquote point guard. Franz Wagner brings the ball up. Desmond Bane will initiate offense. The point of this offense, the point of what the Magic are trying to build is very much an everyone does everything. Everyone is a potential attacker, is a potential scorer. And it's even the same on defense, where the Magic have things set up where they like to switch 1 through 5. They do, and that's been one of the reasons they've been successful defensively for the last few weeks. Is they're starting to switch 1 through 5 more and just saying, you know what, we're going to live with the consequences. This is going to be our style. We're going to simplify things. We're going to sharpen up our communication, and we're going to be excellent in this scheme. And it worked really well it's worked really well in the last 3 games, to be perfectly honest. The stats are good, at least. Certainly there is still work to do. Like, Utah was able to take advantage of it because of their size and their ability to manipulate space, but Milwaukee couldn't figure it out. Brooklyn could figure it out. So the Magic lately have used this as an opportunity to get a little funky. Now, one of their bright ideas did not quite work last year, but one of their bright ideas was start playing Jonathan Isaac more at center. So if we're going to talk about the center position today, because we're going to get to Moe Wagner in the back half of this episode, if we're going to talk about the center position today, we do need to talk about this development of Jonathan Isaac playing more by himself as the backup center. In 153 minutes with Goga Bitadze and Wendell Carter off the floor, according to our friends at Data Baller, the Magic have a 116 offensive rating, slightly above their season average in meaningful minutes, which is interesting to say the least, because usually Jonathan Isaac is a drain on defense, but they have a 122.5 defensive rating. That's 6.5 points per 100 possessions worse than their overall average. That's a minus 6.5 net rating. Generally, lineups that have Jonathan Isaac by himself at center so far have not quite worked out. Looking at individual lineups then, especially kind of recent lineups, lineups without Carter and without Bitadze specifically, which I'm going to pull up here, which I should have. I can't do that because there might be Franz in those lineups. The lineup of the most used lineup for Isaac that doesn't have Wendell Carter in it is Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Tristan da Silva, Noah Penda, Jonathan Isaac. Predictably, pretty terrible offensively. 95.7 is 21 minutes. We're talking very small samples, 21 minutes in 6 games. 95.7 offensive rating, 93.8 defensive rating, only a +2 net rating. Lineup, we got some like bench lineups, so I only want to focus on good lineups. The lineup of Tyus Jones, Anthony Black, Tristan da Silva, Paolo Banchero, Jonathan Isaac, which obviously they can't play anymore. 13 minutes in 3 games, a 142.9 offensive rating, 84.6 defensive rating. This idea of playing Jonathan Isaac at the 5 has always fascinated Jamal Mosley because Isaac is so versatile. He's so big and he's so long. He can make up for mistakes. He gives the team the rim protection that they don't really have from anyone else besides Goga Bitadze. And so it is an area that the Magic have tried to explore in pieces. Now, a big problem with it is this: every lineup Jonathan Isaac in is just bad offensively. It's hard to find good lineups with Jonathan Isaac, good offensive lineups with Jonathan Isaac in them. But it's real easy to see the defensive impact he still makes. Now, it's still a work, it's still an experiment, and I wouldn't say any of these lineups have anything like substantial in them. And again, just finding groups that have functioned is tough. Like Jace Richardson, Anthony Black, Tristan da Silva, Paolo Banchero, Jonathan Isaac have played only 7 minutes together with a 192.9 defensive rating. In 7 minutes, that's not enough sample to say much. So this is an idea the Magic are clearly going to continue to explore because they think it's valuable to them in the playoffs. At some point, yeah, they probably need to get Goga Batadze back in rhythm and have him ready. And at this point, Goga Batadze is simply an emergency center. He's simply there in case Mo can't go or Wendell gets hurt. Wendell's had great injury luck this year. We're not going to dock that. But we all know that, there's always a concern that the other foot's going to drop at some point. Now, the other part of this is now that Franz is back, there is certainly a feeling or certainly a belief that now you can begin to experiment a little bit more with that starting group. In fact, one of the things that we've all wanted the Magic to do more of is to play Paolo at the 5 and really truly have a 5-out kind of offense and a full switching defense that's just tough to cover. And you used to not be able to do that because you didn't have the offensive players to make it work. But now that Anthony Black has taken this leap, you can try it a little bit more. Now, Monday's game, we did actually see this lineup. We saw a Anthony Black, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero lineup. And I'm trying to find the minutes here. They played 3 minutes together. So just 3 minutes, a 180 offensive rating, a 116.7 defensive rating. Again, in 3 minutes, you're still probably not playing that great. But there's your little proof of concept. There's your little that is interesting. Magic went to it in the third quarter, I believe. Went to it in the fourth quarter, I believe. Didn't really expanded the lead back out to its final kind. They struggled a little bit when they first started playing together, and then they expanded it out. I do think we will see this lineup come back, especially as Franz gets healthier. I think we will see them continue to experiment with this in lineups that make sense. Like Milwaukee tends to play a little small. Miles Turner isn't attacking the glass a lot. That's a lineup that you try that against. If you have other 5-out lineups, so I don't know if you do it against New York. If you play New York without Mitchell Robinson, maybe you try that. Karl-Anthony Towns been a beast on the glass, so I'd want Wendell Carter on him, but Dell's had his struggles with him. If you find other lineups, and I'm just kind of scanning my board with all the teams there, if you find, the Clippers might be a good team to try that against in a couple weeks. And next week when the Magic are on the road. The Magic are willing to get funky. And I would say this. It is probably a sign of confidence that the Magic are willing to experiment with lineups again. One of the reasons you can't experiment with lineups is that you just don't have the foundation to do your basics. And so right now, for the majority of this season, the Magic have been far more concerned about getting their basics down and getting their chemistry together than trying to throw out wacky lineups, not wacky lineups, but strategic lineups to see if they work and test some things. And you got to use the regular season to test some things. But Orlando's not in a playoff position to where they can throw away a 3 or 4 minute stretch to try something out. When you're up 15, when you're up 20, you could test some things. It's been a few of those this year, a few games like that. The games against Brooklyn and now Milwaukee were the Magic's first two 15-point wins by 15 or more points since the Philadelphia game back in November. Just, again, it's been a while. The Magic have only 4 wins by 10 or more points. They have 2 other wins by exactly 10 points. They only have 2 other wins by 10 or more points since that game in late November. It's been a rough go. This win streak's our first 3-game win streak since December 1st. And so the Magic are at least now testing some things. And I do think that is a sign of confidence. And again, certainly a condition of the game. And maybe we'll see these experiments continue. And certainly we're going to see the Magic continue to figure out what to do with the backup center. The one thing they're starting to get a good feel for is Moe Wagner. Let's give Moe Wagner a little bit more love. Talk about his return coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The Winter Games are officially here. And if you are anything like us, you are locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. Speed skating races decided by inches, the drama of curling, big curling match on Tuesday, Hockey games that just feel different. Olympic hockey is the absolute best. And even niche events like Skeleton, which started their training on Tuesday. Skeleton's the best. Don't knock it till you watch it. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no way to follow them better than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. It has been 12 games since Moe Wagner returned. He's played 12 games since his return. And undoubtedly, we expected things to be a little shaky. We expected it to be a little bit up and down. We expected him to kind of have to find his groove, find his rhythm. And you got to give him time to figure some things out. As frustrating as that might be, considering the Magic are, as frustrating as that might be, considering the Magic are in this tight playoff race, that the Magic are having to make up ground. And look, the Sixers play the Knicks on Wednesday. Knicks coming off the loss to the Pacers. If the Magic win and the Sixers lose, the Magic will enter the All-Star break a half game out of sixth. Unlike last year when the Magic entered the All-Star break kind of out of that race for sixth, the Magic still have a chance to avoid the play-in. We'll see what happens. Let's not put the cart before the horse. Take care of your own business. Your business will take care of you. Moe Wagner has a very, very big part to play in all this. But let's take a step back here, about a month since he returned, to evaluate where he's at. Here are the numbers first. Moe Wagner is averaging 9 points per game. So literally falls out of bed with 10 points. He's almost back to that level. 9 points per game. He's got 3.1 rebounds per game, which is a low since he joined the Magic. A little bit lower than his 3.9 for his career. He's never been a big rebounder. He is shooting 49.3% from the floor, which is certainly below what you would expect from him. He's shooting 46.9% from three. 2.7 of his 6.3 field goal attempts per game are coming from deep. What I honestly care about more with Moe is that he looks spry. He looks like he's moving around a lot better. It looks like he's getting more comfortable moving around and more confident moving around. I mentioned this a few games ago. I think it was against Brooklyn, where he came in and committed 2 fouls immediately. And honestly, I was just like, you know what? He's still on a little bit of minute restriction. 2 quick fouls. That to me tells me he is willing to mix things up. And I saw that as a good sign, just like I see every charge he takes as a good sign. It's like, okay, he is confident enough to take a hit to fall. That's important stuff. That is, don't underrate how important that can be. Wagner, to me, the other big piece is, are you gradually and steadily improving? And, you look at his box scores, he came out of the gates fast. 8 points against New Orleans, 7 in Berlin, 14 in that game against Charlotte, 13 against Cleveland at home. And then he kind of hit a bit of a rut. 5-3-1-8-8. Again, kind of a rut. But really, even those 2 games where he scored 8 against San Antonio, against Oklahoma City, which, were difficult games, these last 3 games have really shown the kind of impact that he can make. He's scored more than 10 points in the last 3 games. 14 points against Brooklyn, 13 points against Utah, 14 points against Milwaukee. Against both Utah and Milwaukee in the last 2 games, it was really his energy that turned the game around. And more than the shooting, more than the scoring, more than just being active, his energy is why he is on this team. He is someone that lifts everybody up because he just plays so hard. And he said it after the game against Utah. It's just energy isn't going to find us. We got to make the plays. We got to make shots. Someone's got to start it. Someone's got to be the spark. Someone's got to be the one the domino that falls, that leads to the next domino falls, that leads to the next. That is Moe Wagner. He is him and Jalen Suggs and to some extent Franz Wagner. They are the dominoes that fall. And when one gets energy, when one makes energy play, again, I say this all the time, energy is contagious. It radiates out to people. So if you have guys that play with energy, like Moe Wagner, those guys become really important. Those guys change games. The Magic do not beat Utah on Saturday without Moe Wagner. The Magic do not blow the game open Monday without Moe Wagner. He hit that big 3 by Franz on the pass by Franz that sparked the run. Broke that play down on my Patreon page. That's a free article, by the way, if you want to check that out. That play sparked the run for the Magic. Um, and then he hit another, I think he hit another three that made it a 15-point game, throwing kisses to the crowd. Like he's someone that just gets everybody up. And more importantly, these last 3 games, 3-game win streak, again, you can say what you want about the opponent. Last 3 games, first time all season that he's been a plus minus. Plus 21 in Monday's game 2. It might be early to declare Moe Wagner back. It might be early to say, oh, Moe is back. The Magic got their mojo back. I mean, we missed the Joe part. Love you, Kojo. But he's certainly trending back in that direction. Now, there might be a couple setbacks. Look, he still has his games where he struggles to score, where he has bad offensive games. Every offensive player does. And defense is certainly still a struggle for him. But now that offensive rating is beginning to creep back up. Now the team is starting to function a little bit better with him on the floor. Now they're getting a little more comfortable with him. And it is clear that he is starting to find his groove again and that he can make a real impact for this team. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of the my on podcasts to your podcast-enabled device. You can check us out as well on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you all for your support. If you are a member of our Everydayer Club, I am working to get you access to my Patreon articles through the Everydayer Club. So sit tight with that. I put the link to my free article, my free video breakdown of Franz Wagner's return game in the Locked On Magic Discord channel on the Everydayer Club. That's also free. I'm going to send it on my socials on Wednesday as well. So you'll be able to check that out as well. Hope you all enjoyed. I really do enjoy doing those playbook videos. I need to do more of them. But I want to make that a big part of my premium services. So thank you all for supporting that. If you're interested in the Everydayer Club, be sure to check it out at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. Again, that's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We're going to close out the first half or the first pre-All-Star break part of the season. Tomorrow, we'll be at the Kia Center breaking down the Magic's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Until then, though, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.